Tonight marks episode number 22 for Leading Off, as ESPO and I will dive into our MLB playoff picture predictions. That's a lot of P's. Who will win their divisions? What teams will just miss postseason baseball? We'll get into that in just a few minutes live here on Twitch. Plus, ESPO selects his pick of the day. We'll see how lucky he's feeling tonight. And then we answer your fan-submitted questions, including the negative outlook on the New York Mets players after how they responded to the fan base with a thumbs down. Well, unlike Javier Baez, I hope you give us a thumbs up for this new edition of Leading Off. And once again, we are live. This is episode number 22 of Leading Off, live from Studio 69 in New Jersey and REM Studio in Staten Island, New York, airing exclusively on Twitch and powered by StreamYard. And welcome back to the show on this Monday, August the 30th, 2021. I'm your host, Rich Rivera, and I'm being joined by Somerset softball legend, ESPO.
I'm sorry, Rich, but I believe that it is you who is the Somerset County softball legend.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I read that script wrong. You're absolutely right about that. What's going on, ESPO? How you been, bud?
I'm a Mets fan, so pretty fucking terrible, if we're being honest. No, the Mets do not ruin my life like that. I'm doing great, man. Even though this summer's it's kind of winding down. It's about to be fall soon. Definitely have made the most of it. The Mets notwithstanding. But we'll get to them later, man.
The end of summer, meaning almost the end of baseball season on the regular season front. But hey, fall's coming up. Pumpkin spice lattes are back at Starbucks. I'm ready to get my pumpkin on. I'm ready to get my winery on. I bought my new pair of Uggs. I'm ready to go all basic bitch this fall. But before we do all of that, and I embarrass myself yet again on another podcast, make sure to follow us on Twitch, of course. And I've been kind of like letting you guys know that, hey, it's cool to check us out via the link on our Twitter, but that doesn't notify you on the show unless you already downloaded the Twitch app and subscribe to the show. So make sure to subscribe to us at leadingoff_podcast on Twitch. And of course, the direct link is in our Twitter bio, but make sure to download the app and follow us and subscribe to us, because that's how you get the notifications and check out our show tonight. And of course, we start our show off like always, Alex. Who the hell is Alex? ESPO with Ducks on the Pond.
You need to drink every time you call me Alex and not ESPO.
So we'll start it off with injuries, and we'll start with the Mets. Noah Syndergaard, unfortunately, who's been trying to recover from Tommy John, another setback for it has to be like the fifth time now within this year. But this time, COVID-19 gets Mr. Syndergaard, which is an unfortunate news. So hopefully Syndergaard recovers from this and works his way back. I know, Espa, last time I checked on Noah, he was starting his rehab, or at least he was starting a throwing program. What was the latest on Syndergaard from what you last heard before this COVID news came out?
So he did have a rehab start a few days ago. It did not go well. He gave up a few runs early on. Never really quite got his rhythm going, but it was more so just about shaking off the rust. But yeah, obviously this COVID diagnosis is a tough setback for him. A non-baseball injury, of course, that who knows what the effects are going to be, because, everyone kind of deals with it differently. But for the Mets, it's tough because, they were kind of relying on him to come back in maybe a couple of weeks and give him at least a few meaningful appearances down the stretch. And now at this point, with them 7 games back, if things don't drastically improve over the next week, I'd really just be inclined to shut Noah. And by that metric, let's just shut Jake down if the race is not close enough when we're, getting to be first 2 weeks, middle of September. It's just not worth it.
More on the Mets later tonight in our fan-submitted questions segment, which is going to be a fun one later tonight. And by the way, just a quick promotion on that segment later. Not only are we taking questions from Twitter and Twitch, but but we also may be taking some live calls as well. So make sure to tune in at 7:20 p.m. around 7:20, 7:25. And we'll get into it later on tonight and cover more on the Mets. Other than Syndergaard testing positive for COVID, we got Kenta Maeda possibly done for the season. He's going to undergo surgery to repair his arm, his recent arm injury that he suffered with Minnesota. It's been a terrible year for the Twins. Rhys Hoskins also done for the season after a tear of his lower abdomen. And
it's a bummer. He was having a solid year, man. Hoskins was for Philly.
It's a good year for Rhys Hoskins. The Phillies, again, man, just like one of those weird teams. You'd expect just more from them. And this injury didn't help their cause out. They've been struggling all season, try to just get hot. And they haven't really had that. Bryce Harper's having a fantastic season. But outside of that, and Zach Wheeler obviously has been great for Philly. But outside of those two players, it's just been a tough year for the Philadelphia Phillies. Another
No. I hope this shit did not happen again. Well, I'm not sure who we lost, Rich or ESPO. So I guess we'll just proceed as if we both went down. I don't know. I guess I'll continue with our ducks on the pond here, because this is not ideal. But yeah, so our injury notes just wrapping up them. Gleyber Torres, obviously he's down. Oh, what happened?
All right. I don't know who this guy is, but he's gone. All right.
You back there, Rich?
I guess it's a Rich Rivera variant. Anyway, we're back. Yeah, Gleyber Torres on his way back to the Bronx. He started his rehab assignment with the Somerset Patriots. So, yeah, good stuff for Gleyber. Moving on to our next news piece here with the hope that I don't get knocked out again from this Wi-Fi. We'll talk about Yadier Molina, who after signing a 1-year extension to stay in St. Louis for $10 more million, had also announced that 2022 will be his final season. So I would pour one out for Yadi, fellow catcher, but I'm actually pretty thirsty tonight, so I'm not pouring one out for Yadi. But Yadier Molina, a decent season for a catcher of his age. Batting.
Don't say it, Rich. I know you want to say it. Don't fucking say it.
Known for a certain success in 2006, but we're not going to get into that. We're gonna shit on the Mets later tonight. We'll save that later, so no worries. But Yadier Molina announcing that 22 will be his final season. ESPO, disgruntled Met fan, how do you feel?
Good riddance. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that bitter. Obviously, Yadi is one of the great catchers of all time. Definitely, without question, the greatest catcher of the 21st century and of our generation. I mean, what else can you say about the guy? Multiple Gold Glover, All-Star. And yes, he is known for being clutch in big spots. Okay, moving on. Fuck you, Yadi.
All right. Speaking of big spots, a big spot for Michigan in the Little League World Series as they defeated Ohio 5-2, capturing their first Little League World Series championship since 1959. Obviously, we like to cover more Major League Baseball. We're an all baseball show. We like to talk about all baseball, and this is relative news as well. So congratulations to Michigan on their performance in the Little League World Series. Obviously, a championship set that has seen the likes of future major leaguers, Todd Frazier's, and the Michael Portos.
You have to say it.
Of course, you got to start it with Todd. You got to start it with Todd because every outlet in sports had to talk about Todd Frazier participating in the Little League World Series and standing next to Derek Jeter at Yankee Stadium. Of course, I have to talk about Todd. But no, Little League World Series, always a fun event. ESPO, what were your reactions and takeaways of the recent Little League World Series victory for Michigan?
Well, before we get into that, did you know Todd Frazier's from New Jersey? Not sure.
Is he from Tom's River?
He is actually.
I think he is. I think he's from Tom's
no.
River.
Okay. Todd Frazier, Tom's River. Moving on.
Yes.
Michigan. Yeah, congrats to Michigan. Obviously a great performance by that team, and they deserve it. Good for the kids, and you feel bad for the kids that lose in the final because they're just so devastated and they don't really know how to handle their emotions at such a young age. So it's very raw, but it's tough to watch. But yeah, good for Michigan, and one more note on the Little League World Series. Got to give a shout out to Gavin Weir from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Though his team didn't win, he probably is going to be the next Chris Sale. He threw a 6-inning no-hitter in which he struck out 14 guys. So gotta show some props to the little man, Gavin Weir.
Do you think you could take Gavin Weir deep to dead center field? If
He'd probably strike me out if we're being honest.
Yeah,
I'd be lucky to make contact with him.
Yeah, sounds right. I'd probably see 3 right down the middle, to be honest. But this kid's talented as hell. So yeah, congrats to Gavin Weir on his performance for North Dakota, but congrats to Michigan for winning the Little League World Series. Make sure to follow us on Twitter if you haven't already. Shame on you. But here's your chance. Follow us at LOFF Podcast. You can follow ESPO at
The Life of ESPO.
And you can follow me at Rich J. Rivera. And another good reason why you can follow ESPO on Twitter, and of course our stream's Twitter page, is for ESPO's Pick of the Day, which has always been a interesting segment to say the least, because ESPO, who considers himself a betting man, has at least lost a shit ton of money on this segment alone since the inception of this this program. I don't know what the record is now. You had a winning streak going.
It's not good.
It's not good. I think it's like 3-9 at this rate. So let's see if he'll make it 10 double-digit losses tonight with his pick of the day. So Espo, take it away.
I thought about taking the Astros again, but then I looked in the mirror and I realized I didn't want to be called a clown. So because I'm not betting the Astros, I know they're going to win tonight. That's just how it works. But I digress. I am going to take my talents to Texas tonight with the Colorado Rockies at Texas Rangers. I'm not picking a side because, let's be honest, both these teams are pretty trash. I'm going with the over 8.5 total runs. I don't think either pitcher in this matchup is particularly good. Marquez for Colorado is very up and down, but on the road, the Rockies are significantly worse than they are at home, and actually need to double check who the pitcher was for the Rangers because I've literally never heard of the guy up until 20 minutes ago. AJ Alexy.
AJ Alexy.
A great name.
Yeah.
Looks like he's making his major league debut tonight. So, in that case, I might be tempted to take the Rockies as well because a guy making his major league debut generally, I don't know. I have to look up the stats on that. I want to know what the numbers are for.
I also think like Rockies pitchers would be just stronger on the road getting out of Coors Field, which has really been the demon to these pitchers who've been giving up all these home runs in the Mile High City.
Right.
So I'd say advantage Marquez in that matchup. 8.5 runs as the over. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one, man.
Yeah.
I'd probably take the under, but this is not my segment. It's yours. So
he's fading me. I'll tell you what, Rich. I'm gonna make this a double ESPOTD.
Oh no.
It's gonna be we're gonna ride with the over 8.5 as I initially said, but let's add the Rockies to this bet slip as well. We're doing it for the action here. This is the Action Network, by the way. They're a betting information network that I actually got this hat from them for free. So a special shout out to them for hooking it up.
And free sponsorship because, this show doesn't come out of our pocket enough. All right. Excellent job, Espo. Good stuff. Taking the over in the Rockies-Rangers game.
And the Rockies.
A little bit more of a risk pick. I like that. Definitely not a favorable matchup there, but we'll see what happens.
Hey, my last pick of a favorite in the Astros shit the bed. So mixing it up. Got to mix it up.
Incredible, because at the end I was like, all right, he's taking the safe bet. Astros over the Royals. Come on,
dude, it's incredible,
and he still lost. It's fucking incredible.
It's incredible. The Astros are obviously a great team, but whenever I bet on them, they lose, and whenever I don't bet on them, they win. It's just like, I'm cursed.
It's a way of life, man. Well, make sure to check out Savages in the Bronx later tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. That is my New York Yankees co-hosted show with Tom Waspel, who may or may not be in the chat. I don't know. Make sure to give us a follow at Savages Bronx on Twitter and on Instagram. Special guest tonight is actually the sponsor of that show, Sincerely Allie. She's joining on the show, and we're going to have a fun game later. We're going to show her almost every single baseball logo. We'll see how many she can get because she's not the biggest baseball fan. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's later tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch as well. We're moving right along, Espo, as we're just 2 days away from September already. Holy shit.
Crazy,
This
man.
year's been fucking flying.
I
So
know, right?
we decided to take the liberty of predicting of how the playoff picture is going to look in the coming weeks. So we're not going to predict what's going to happen in the playoffs. We're just only going to predict of what the final standings will kind of shake out to be and who's going to land where. So Espo and I have 2 different brackets to show. Espo, I guess we'll start with yours. So here is Espo's bracket. Where the hell is it? Here it is. Espo's bracket. Let's get rid of that graphic right there for all you at home. Espo, take it away. Who do you got here?
Well, I guess not much is really changing here. The only thing that is different than our present reality is that I have the San Diego Padres overtaking the Reds for that final wild card spot. Though the Reds are holding on to it right now, I do feel like the Padres, they have too much talent to sit out October. I think they're going to figure it out over this final month. I don't know why I'm rooting for Chris Paddock to think that he's going to come back strong, but he's coming off the IL tonight, so that could be a boost to their rotation. Blake Snell's been pitching a lot better as of late, so I might look like a fool at the end of the month when the Padres fall further, but I'm going to pick them to make the playoffs here.
And I could agree with the Padres moving on. Yep, spoiler alert for my playoff picture. I could agree with that. I'll just pull it up one more time. I could agree with the Padres moving on into the playoffs. Again, I think you put it perfectly. They have way too much talent on that team to miss. It would be a shock if Cincinnati would hold on, or another team like St. Louis or the Phillies kind of climb into that last spot. We kind of said it for the longest time. Those 2 out of wild card spots are going to belong to 2 National League West teams. And I think that is apparent of how the season's been going. I think as of now, the Padres are clearly out of the running for the division. And it's looking more like our good buddy and recurring guest of the show, Joe Pugliese, is going to be right about how far the Dodgers are going to be above the Padres in the final standings. But from my side, it doesn't look too different, Espo. A couple of switches here. The Dodgers get in for me as the number 1 overall. The Giants will get that number 4 spot, or number 4 seed rather, in the first wild card spot, hosting the Padres at Oracle Park. On the American League side, I have a change. The Astros are going to be the first place team. In that, I just, as much as I'm trying to not play his typical Yankee hater, Rich, the Astros are just above and beyond more talented than the Rays. I think the Rays have definitely had the advantage of a weak schedule and will continue to have the advantage of a weak schedule. Granted, they do have a couple matchups against the Yankees, the Astros, and the White Sox, teams that they might possibly see in the playoffs. So I think the Rays will take a step back because of those matchups. I see the Astros superseding them as the number 1. And you and I both have Yankees, Red Sox in the fucking wild card game, man. We really want to see some television on ESPN when it comes to the wild card game. So I like the positioning. Obviously, Espo and I didn't really vet each other on this. So, it was a surprise to me that like him and I had pretty much similar picks. But just sticking with the topic of the MLB playoff picture, Espo, you look at these matchups here, and I kind of I think on like the old format of how Major League Baseball wouldn't allow 2 teams within the division to face each other in the first round of the playoffs. And, listen, if you get your matchup here of possibly Rays versus Yankees or Rays versus Red Sox, I mean, that's a heavyweight fight that you would love to have seen in the championship series. Do you like the current format when it comes to the playoff bracket, or do you kind of wish there was a mix of the old and new?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting debate. Wait, take away the graphic. We got to see my beautiful face.
Yes, there it is.
There it is. Sorry, I need to promote myself, Rich. I'm single. I'm on the market. So also follow me on Bumble and Hinge, ladies. No, I'm not going to do that.
But make sure to download Twitch first, and then download Tinder.
Yes, Twitch, Hinge, Facebook, MySpace, all of it. But no, it's definitely an interesting debate, and I think that I would prefer that we have the old playoff formatting in which teams from the same division can't face each other until the LCS. I mean, it's good that we're getting these matchups regardless. It is good for the game of baseball, but I just feel like it's way more exciting if they kind of have to fight through the muck to earn the right to face each other at the end there. Because a Yankees Red Sox ALCS of 2004, that was just brilliant. You know, for the right to go to the World Series, it just, I don't know. It's just there's more on the line, and the intensity of it is greater. And I just feel like we're almost like being robbed of a greater experience almost.
See, you're more playing into television ratings, I think.
Yep.
For me, it's like, hey, I'm cool with the current format as far as proper seeding goes. And listen, hey, if the Yankees and Red Sox are facing each other in the wild card game, that's pretty fucking good. If you're seeing a banger of a 5-game set in the first round and the best team to 3 wins it, listen, I'm cool with seeing any of those teams play each other. And yes, the elongated CS World Series among two bangerang teams would be fantastic. But the current format's fine. I have no problem with it. And it's a format that I hope the CBA doesn't get together and be like, hey, we got to make some changes, because I don't think there's anything really wrong with the current format.
I agree. But leave it to Rob Manfred to find a way to screw it up, because he will.
I'll find a way. Anyway, before we get into FSQs, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, where full episodes are there for your pleasure or displeasure, depending on what show you're listening to. Not every show is great, but most shows are great. So follow us on YouTube and subscribe there. So let's get into it. FSQs, our fan-submitted questions. And, of course, if you're using the hashtag FSQ to ask us questions on Twitter, fantastic. But, of course, we'll take your live questions on Twitch in the chat. So make sure to use the comment thread in the chat. And also, if you do want to call in, you absolutely can. If you have the link to the backstage area to talk about whatever you want to talk about, feel free to come on. We'll get you on. We'll get your question, your opinion on a certain topic, and we'll move right along. So, ESPO, we were kind of alluding to it all episode long. It's time to talk Mets, and it's time to talk about this thumbs down controversy that happened over the weekend. Sandy Alderson, of course, came out, released a statement last night in response to, of course, the thumbs down gesture that Javier Baez, Kevin Pillar, and Francisco Lindor had showed the fans to kind of just show them up. I believe it's something along the lines of Mets fans are understandably frustrated with the team's recent performance. The players and the organization are equally frustrated, but the fans of the city feel that every right to express their own disappointment. Booing is every fan's right. The Mets will not tolerate any player gesture that is unprofessional in its meaning or is directed in a negative way towards our fans. I'll be meeting with our players and staff to convey this message directly. Mets fans are loyal, passionate, knowledgeable, and more than willing to express themselves. We love them for every one of these qualities. Asbal, we'll start with you, bud. Give us your take on the New York Mets and this most recent taunting.
Man, everyone involved in this situation is just looking like idiots. Alderson, the players, the fans, no one looks good at all. It's in our right as fans to boo if the team is doing bad. Sure, yes, but does it really help the team do any better? No. Personally, booing my own team's players is not something I would do, but again, you're certainly within your right to do so as a fan. From the perspective of the players, it seems kind of soft that you're telling your own fans not to boo you. If you don't want to get booed, quite simply do better at your job. But you're also playing in New York, so you kind of have to expect that comes with the territory. Mm-hmm. And then you have good old Sandy Alderson. Okay, boomer. I had to say it. He just sounds like such a grumpy old man with his statement. I mean, yeah, obviously it just seems kind of hypocritical that you're holding your players to the same standard that you wouldn't hold to your fans in terms of the booing and mocking. If the players can take lightful jeering and mocking, then hey, so should the fans.
Yeah, I got you, man. And on the flip side, like I'll just Yankee-fy this for just a second. It kind of makes me appreciate how Giancarlo Stanton has been receiving all this criticism from the fans for years, and he hasn't gestured towards the fans. He hasn't shown his displeasure towards the fans. He wears it and he kind of goes through it. And listen, there's a lot wrong with what that trade happened. That trade between the Yankees and the Marlins and bringing over Stanton and what he's done with the team. There's a lot of great things to cheer for him, but there's been a lot more things to boo about him. And he's taken the media well and certainly has a lot of players, and these Mets players need to be held accountable. So
the media, Rich, one more thing, because you mentioned the media. I gotta get a few words on them. I mean, I think they're the worst part about all this because they're just blowing everything out of proportion, as they always do. And it's just not really that big of an issue.
I mean, you're just kind of stating facts here. That's the New York media. That's how it is. It's a hungry media market. They want the scoop, and they want to pull as much information, even if it's bad information or if it's a bad quote that they can, kind of abridge a bit to fit a good headline.
Right.
That's what they do, and this is why you got to be careful. All right, so we do have a call, which is fine. We actually have a couple calls, but we're going to start with this one.
Line them up.
Put your face to the podcast and a former co-host even of the show in your absence. Corey Favaloro joins us. Corey, what's going on, pal? And what do you think about this whole Met situation? Or better yet, do you have an FSQ for us?
Oh boy, my only FSQ. When does the season end? Because I can't take it anymore. It's crazy. Since I last co-hosted, the team went from first place to now. I mean, they're still technically in it, but it's such a collapse compared to where we were. And looking at this whole booing situation, I mean, as a fan, have I booed my own team on the field? Yes. I've been there. I've booed the team, but it takes a lot. Even with Francisco Lindor, I wouldn't have booed him. I've been to several games. I haven't booed him because even despite hitting in the high 100s, low 200s for most of the year, he did a lot on the field also. A lot of gold glove caliber shortstop, a team guy. But I do think the booing is warranted from the fans, considering where the team is, because at the end of the day, the fans are the ones paying these players' salaries. It's not Steve Cohen. It's not the other owners. If every fan stopped going to the ballparks, there'd be no baseball. The reason these players have a job is because the average person like me, you, and ESPO are watching these games. And listen, if they can't take the heat, I honestly don't care. The minimum salary for a major leaguer rookie, I believe, is around $500,000. The average salary for an average Joe in America is about $32,000. Costs, if you have a family of four, what's it costing? Maybe $200 for tickets, for parking, merchandise, food. If I want to do it, so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point from a frustrated Mets fan and former co-host of this show. Corey, thanks for jumping on, pal. Appreciate it. It's been a crazy situation, ESPO. It really has. And we didn't think, and by the way, give Corey a follow on Twitter, @CoreyFavs. Great person to follow. And his Mets opinions are fantastic. And speaking of Met fans who have great opinions on Twitter, we have another caller, Joe Pugliese in the house. Also give him a follow @JRPugs. Joe, what's your comments on this situation as well?
I got a lot of comments here. First and foremost, this is one of the more – the fact that anybody says this is overblown, this is not overblown. This is one of the most disrespectful comments a player can make, especially about the fans. It's one thing if you want to go in as Javier Baez, you want to go in on the owner and say to the owner when he criticizes them on Twitter, hey, we're doing our job, blah, blah, blah. I would respect him more. But when you go after the fans, the people that pay money to watch your team, they have the third highest ticket prices in the country. They have the highest hot dog price in the country. And you're going to go after the fans after on July 28th, you had a 5-game lead on the division, a 5-game lead. You are now 7.5 back. You blew 14 games. 14 games in less than a month. And you're telling me I can't boo that bullshit on the field that you're pulling there? Baez is swinging and missing by a mile on balls. I can boo him right out of the stadium, and he just turned himself a plane ticket back to Chicago. He could go sit in a team that's 68 and 100 the next 4 fucking years because he's not going to get a dime out of Cohen. He's not going to L.A. He's going back to the doldrums, to dead last place. The ball's on him, the rental, to tell me as a fan after I got paid $40 for a ticket in the nosebleeds, I got paid $20 for parking, I got the worst commute out of any stadium in the country, that I can't boo him when he's striking out 3 times a game, which is what his average has been since he's joined here. He's has a higher strikeout rate than he does a batting average. And let me tell you something. Sandy has every right to do exactly what he did. This isn't Sandy's fault. His players are doing something stupid, and he knows he's that the fans are the lifeblood. So when the players, of all the people that you could go after management. Look what Dave Winfield and Reggie Jackson used to do when Steinbrenner was around. They would go after Steinbrenner. And that's one thing. That's part of the business. But when you go after the fans, what do you think's going to happen? These people pay your tickets. If I'm a fan, I'm not paying the Mets another dime while Baez is on the team. That's absurd. I'm not going to the ballpark. This to have my players in a sign of protest give me a thumbs down. The gall on you. All right, we pay your salary. And the other thing is, and here's the other thing with Lindor, let's not forget him, because he's another one. This is that you want to be like LeBron, you want to bring your friend and you want to bring your buddy, and now you did, and now he's going to get a one-way ticket out of here, and you're here for the next 10 years. And if these players think that the boos were bad then, wait till tomorrow night. You're going to get booed out of the stadium. All right, remember what happened with Jason Bay? If you're Francisco Lindor,
don't say that name, Joe.
4 years. He was here for 4 years. He has a quarter of your contract, a quarter of it. You want to see what happens when you turn into Robbie Alomar over the next 5 years? You're not gonna be able to walk in this town. And
I will say this. I gotta say this. It's very easy to scapegoat one single player, two or three players when you're losing. You know, because these antics, they're kind of always known for being dramatic like this, and they have done it in the past. They have done this motion in the past, and there really wasn't as much fanfare made about it. And I guess now there is, just because Javi directly quoted it to the media. But you got to agree, he's right. When you're, I want to bring up the exact quote he said, because I don't want to misquote him here. But he said that when. Okay, I gotta get this. Give me one moment. Just bear with me.
This is the Javier Baez quote, I'm guessing.
If we win together, then we gotta lose together, and the fans are a big part of it. I agree, though. He shouldn't be soft. He should say, he should be receptive to boos, meaning he needs to get better. But as fans, it doesn't feel great. You don't feel great booing your own players. You feel kind of guilty doing it. But
no, of course not. But when you lose 14 games in the division in less than a month, well, what do you expect?
It's certainly warranted.
You were in first place. The Braves were left for dead. They had the corpses piled on the IL.
And did you really expect this team to hold the lead all the way through September with all the injuries they've had, all their misgivings?
There's no reason they shouldn't. They have two former MVP candidates in the middle of their infield. All right. They have every single guy on that team, except maybe Alonso and Nimmo's underperforming. And okay, DeGrom's hurt, but Stroman has pitched well. McGill's pitched well enough. All right, Carrasco's been a disaster, but he's looking like whatever he is. But at this point, you still had the lead on the division, and you have not scored a run. The problem hasn't been pitching. The problem hasn't been your bullpen, even though they've had their moments. The problem is you haven't scored. And this isn't the pitcher giving a thumbs down after he strikes somebody out. These are the offensive players who couldn't buy a hit. All right, that's why you're getting booed. And to say that this adds pressure, basically put Baez, the way I interpreted it was, we're doing bad because you're booing us. And that's what do you think? That's the case? We don't want to boo you. We want to see you go out there and succeed. But this has been all year. We're ranked second to last to the Pirates and the Orioles in offense in the league.
Right.
You're getting booed for that. So for me, we have every right to boo. Yeah, you know what? If you're throwing crap on the field and you're cursing and slurring at players, that's one thing. That's too far. But we have every right to boo, especially when we pay the ticket prices that we pay, especially when we deal with all the other stuff. And the fact, let's not forget, the Mets fan is cynical, because how many times have we had our heart ripped out of our goddamn chest and crushed in front of us until we shrivel up and die in a corner just to come back next year for more?
And I have to make a point on the hypocrisy of this whole situation. Were these the same players that were, going to social media saying, oh, we missed you guys. We couldn't play without you about a year ago when you were playing in front of 40,000 empty seats. And now you're booing the same faithful that want the best out of you and have all the right to jeer and jive and boo you because you've lost a huge lead in that division? Come on, guys. Absolute bullshit, classless move. Ill-advised commentary by Javier Baez, who's out of here in a month. Just a bad look for the organization.
I mean,
only the Mets, baby.
All they gotta do is look at Jacob deGrom as the model. Look what the fans, or even David Wright. Have we not been around long enough to know what David Wright was in this town? The guy was a hero. All right, Jacob deGrom is the most worshipped person in New York. Met, Yankee, Giant, Jet, it doesn't matter. The guy walks on the bus and people kiss the ground that he walks on. You would figure that a guy like Lindor, who comes here with this pressure, and he didn't want to be here anyway. Nobody could tell me otherwise. That's why it took him so long to sign that contract. He wanted somewhere else, but the union stepped in and told him, if you don't take that contract, you're not even going to get close to it, and we're going to be screwed. There was nowhere else for him to go because the Red Sox have a shortstop. The Dodgers have a shortstop. San Francisco has a shortstop. There's nowhere else for him to go. He wasn't getting that money anywhere else, so he had took it. But he doesn't want to be here. He's clearly not adapting to the New York pressure the way he should be. And listen, I'm hoping he's like Beltran and he turns around. But this is ridiculous. All right, the idea that somehow that you're entitled to cheering when you're batting 220. You got 11 home runs. Jonathan Villar is your backup. He's got 15 home runs on the year and has out-hit you. All right? We don't know what to do with you. And guess what? The guy that was traded for you in Ahmed Rosario has outplayed you this year. And
He's been hot.
You're Lindor, and you're the primary reason the Mets are right now collapsing. And the buddy that you brought in to play buck pirate with, all right, is another reason why the Mets are collapsing. He's batting 210 since he's gotten here. So listen, now it's Steve Cohen's turn to step up, and Alderson's basically saying, sit down, shut up. You criticize the fans again, I'll bury you. Mm-hmm. And your boy, and now Lindor, if you think you're LeBron and picking players ever again for me, you got another thing coming. Play to your contract. Worry about that. Worry about your play on the field, and don't worry about the fans in the stands.
I love it. We have to let you go. Make sure to give Joe a follow at JR Pugs. Damn, that's what a fucking tweet in capital letters sounds like in real life, people. Thanks again, Joe. Appreciate it. Joe Pugliese, and man, two hot takes from two Mets fans, well deservingly so. And I might represent the evil empire in the Bronx, but I can't agree more with what Joe, Corey, and yourself, Espo, has to say on this team. It is a disgrace to the organization, and these players need to be disciplined. You need to set some sort of statement. And Stevie's got to he's got to stop hiding behind Twitter, man. There's got to be some repercussions here, bud.
Yeah, I will say, though Lindor and Baez have definitely stunk it up this year, I got to give I don't know, credit's not the right word, whatever the opposite of credit is, criticism to Conforto, McNeil, and Dominic Smith, because they've been hot garbage as well this year. So
right,
it's really been a team effort, their suckiness. Really, but yeah, to close, I think Steve Cohen, he's got to lay down the hammer this offseason, and I think that bringing Theo Epstein into the equation would go a long way in helping. But I'm sure we'll be touching on that in the future.
I've seen Theo's name passed around a few times. Yes, definitely an interesting conversation for another time. But we do have to put an end to the show. Obviously, I want to thank all our Twitch followers and our Twitch viewers and our Twitter followers, as always, for submitting their questions. I want to thank Joe Pugliese and Corey Favaloro for jumping on last minute and crucify the Mets here on Twitch. Well deserved. Espo, I thank you as always for being a great co-host. Anybody you want to thank?
like to thank the fam as always for checking in, and special shout out to the Mets play-by-play radio man Howie Rose. He's undergoing some surgery, so he's going to be out for the rest of the season. So best wishes to him, and look forward to putting it in the books in 2022.
I like the sound of that. That's it, folks. We'll see you here next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. Take care.